Hey, I am Oz, and by the end of this video, you should be able to work with Lean in VS Code Spaces, which is a managed environment to use VS Code with no compromises in your browser. As you can see, I have syntax highlighting and my context window without any problems, and I can do any work I want to with Lean here. First of all, I'm going to sign in to my Microsoft account. In case you don't have one, you can create. But right now, I'm going to use the student account assigned to me by my institution. And you can also use your GitHub account too. So I'm going to enter my email, which is assigned to Microsoft Teams, and password. And I'm going to say no to stay signed in. So it will need you to register to Azure to be able to use Visual Studio Services. Right now I have registered to Visual Studio Services, but as soon as we open the VS Codespaces website, which is online.visualstudio.com, it will also require me to create an Azure plan. That's because VS Codespaces is a paid service, but if you are an academic or student, you probably have many benefits which can effectively reduce the cost to zero. But even if you are a professional, VS Codespaces is very reasonably priced. It has two faces to it. First one is the active usage, so you are in the code space, and the second one is passive. The fact it is you shouldn't scare you off, but rather assure you, because if you weren't built for code spaces, you will be paying in some other way that might be less pleasant. So as you can see, I'm right now registering for an Azure profile to be able to use VS Code Spaces. I have filled the information to verify my identity by phone and by credit card. And as you can see, I have 800 Turk liras of credit to use in my first month, which is more than enough if you are going to do some lean coding in the base instance we are going to launch. So if it says you are ready to start using Azure at top, then you are fine. But to make sure, you can just go to the portal and wait up until the Azure portal loads up like this. And if you see this, you can just close this tab and keep going with your code space creation. As you can see, we have our free trial there. I'm going to choose East US. This plan is essentially how your code space instances get built. First time you do something in Azure services, it will take long, but the second time you do it, it will take less time. So my plan is created. So right now in my plan, I can create a code space. Again, we are at online.visualstudio.com/environments. I'm going to name my code space as lean, and I'm going to make sure that I will use the basic instance, the least amount of build instance, and make sure it goes to passive after 5 minutes. So in case I do anything wrong, I don't get a huge bill. But by the end of the video, I will show you how you can just stop getting billed completely in case you won't actively work in this code space. So in the first startup, it takes a little while, maybe 1 or 2 minutes to get everything running. This screen shouldn't fool you at the first stage. It will create another tab to ensure you that the code space is created. You can see that I have the configure code space panel right there that shows it's correctly created. So now to install Lean and do other tasks I'm about to do, I'm opening a terminal from the settings terminal, new terminal. Now I'm going to go leanprover-community.github.io to load up the installation instructions, up-to-date version. It's important to note that I'm following from by the date I'm recording this video, which is June 2020. You should copy that one-liner and paste it into the terminal, and once you press enter, it will start installing. If it starts installing without you pressing enter, you should let it just install. As you can see, the one-liner installs everything necessary to have Lean in your computer, but the part that registers the Lean to your computer is the last bit, and now it is installed. I'm going to make a change to a file in the code space to make sure that Lean always, every time I launch it, gets registered. At the end of the one-liner, you can see that it registers by sourcing .profile file. To make this registration persistent, I'm going to open the bashrc file, which you can use to register programs to your Codespace environment, and open the profile file to take out the correct path to my Lean installation. And now in the .bashrc file, I'm going to scroll down to the path variable to append it at the end of the line, add a column, and then a tilde, and then a /elan/bin. So now I can close my terminal and launch a new terminal to use Lean as it is registered. Now I'm moving on to the next step. So you can create your Lean project if that's the thing you are going to do at the moment, but to demonstrate that we are nearly close to finishing our installation, I'm going to fetch the tutorials project. It will take a little while to install, but not too long. This fetches all the necessary compiled binaries to the code space. And then I'm going to type code tutorials to launch the folder, so the project in a whole window, so VS Code can register that we are working on that project. So I'm going to make it full screen because we no longer need the installation instructions. Now I'm going to show you that VS Code doesn't recognize Lean yet. There is no syntax highlighting, but VS Codespaces is smart enough to suggest that we can install the extension from Marketplace, and I'm going to follow that and install it. It says reload required. That's fine. Once it reloads, you should be able to go to your Lean file, the file we just opened, and there should be syntax highlighting besides the goals window. As you can see, goal window has popped up, but let's see whether it gets the content too. So at the bottom you can see Lean is checking visible files. You can see the status there, and now we have the goal window with the context in it. So now I'm going to delete the code space I created. So I don't get unnecessarily billed. But before doing that, if I made some changes or created some files, I need to push them to a Git repository or a cloud storage service, or I can download the files to my computer. To do that in Codespaces, you just right click the file and say download. It will fetch the file to your computer, and then you can go to online.visualstudio.com/environments, delete Codespace. Now you are good.